Ever feel like you're doing all the right things and still wondering why your body feels off? You eat well, you train hard, your labs say you're fine, but deep down you know something's slipping. You're not alone and you're not crazy. I'm Daniel Rasmussen, founder of Echelon Center for Longevity, and I've spent 2 decades helping high performers like you to reverse aging, reignite vitality, and finally get answers. On Unbreakable Vitality, we go upstream. We talk peptides, stem cells, precision diagnostic testing, reversing the age of your arteries, all the innovative science-based tools to take back your health span so that your next decades are your best yet. Because aging is real, but decline is optional.
You've probably seen the ads, live forever with this mushroom elixir, or the influencer pushing tongue scrapers, 17 supplements, and cold plunges, and all in the same breath, while wearing compression socks in a sauna suit inside a cryo chamber. Let's be honest, the longevity space is starting to look like a science fair run by people who got their diplomas from Instagram. In today's episode of Unbreakable Vitality, we're calling out the nonsense. We'll expose the hype, roast the snake oil, and tell you what exactly is the fluff and what's worth your time, money, and your biology. No fluff, no fillers, no revolutionary breakthroughs with asterisk disclaimers in size 6 font. Just real longevity science, real strategies, and a few winks along the way. So let's get myth busting. Ever spent $99 on something that promised you eternal youth and barely gave you better pee? We're going to fully myth bust on the biggest longevity letdowns and showing you what actually moves the needle. So let's face it, aging well is sexy marketing. Let's be honest. That's why the wellness world is drowning in products that promise the moon, charge a small fortune, and deliver something vaguely lemon flavored. We all want to believe that this pill, that machine, or those drops will unlock our dormant superhuman genes and let us age backwards like Benjamin Button meets Tony Robbins. But if it sounds too good to be true, it probably lives in aisle 3 next to the activated chlorophyll shampoo and overpriced grounding socks. Here's why we fall for it. We have a fear of decline. We have FOMO on the latest biohack. There's clever packaging with gold foil, Sanskrit, just enough pseudoscience to sound convincing. The longevity space has become a playground of buzzwords. Cellular rejuvenation, clinically tested. By whom? Your cousin Chad? Results may vary, aka we're legally covered if this does absolutely nothing. So now there are amazing innovations happening in this field, and it's okay to ask the question. That's an absolute certainty. There are amazing things happening in this field. You've heard me talk about peptides, vascular testing, functional diagnostics. We're living in a golden age of what's possible for our health and wellness and extending our lifespan, but possibly without evidence is just a supplement label. So here's what to look for. So, does the protocol require 85 steps, but no measurable outcomes? Is it based on a single rat study from 1984? Does it only work if you believe in the frequency? If someone tells you a patch on your ankle will align your chakras and your telomeres, it's probably time to back away slowly, or at least ask for their PubMed citations. What we're really after here, building some discernment, because the people selling snake oil are getting better at it. Let's be honest. Prettier websites, scientific looking charts, and testimonials from wellness influencers who haven't digested a real meal since 2015. So we'll name some names and call out some of the most overhyped protocols that have been sold to use longevity magic. Spoiler alert, some of them might be in your pantry or your Instagram saves. The allure of miracle fixes, how marketing preys on your fear of aging with cool fonts and buzzwords, the difference between hype cycles and evidence, the evident here. So let's get into it. This is the part where we pull the curtain back and maybe step on a few orthotic biohacked toes. Ice for one, ice baths for trauma processing emotional trauma processing. Sure, cold exposure has some science, but if you're plunging to heal your childhood abandonment issues and posting it on TikTok with a Wim Hof quote, maybe also schedule that therapy session, champ. Collagen gummies for vascular repair. Yes, collagen supports skin elasticity. No, your arteries don't care about your Instagram sponsored chews that taste like berry flavored lies. How about this one? $800 a month, NAD plus IVs. This one hits close. NAD is legit. We use it. But if you're skipping meals, chronically stressed, and chasing IVs without fixing your foundational pillars of health, your biology, that's called really expensive pee. Let's add to the list red light therapy panels used while eating nachos in front of Netflix, lymphatic drainage wands for people who haven't walked since 2020, methylene blue microdosing because blue tongue selfies are cheaper than real testing. We're not saying that all of these tools are worthless. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that they're context dependent. When layered on top of solid diagnostics, movement, recovery, and mitochondrial care, they can work, and they work great. But when they're slapped on like longevity glitter to a stressed, inflamed, underslept body, they're just bio band-aids. That's it. The real issue isn't that these tools exist, it's how they're marketed. So they promise transformation without accountability, results without metrics, glow ups without glucose regulation. It's all vibes and no data. So before you invest in that next miracle, magic bullet, or protocol, ask, does this help me stabilize mitochondrial function? And how will I know? Does this affect inflammation markers? And how will I know? Is there a plan to measure whether it's working or not? We love innovation, but at Echelon, we use tools in a sequence based on testing with clear goals. Because optimizing doesn't mean throwing everything at the wall, hoping something sticks. It means strategic correction built on biological data, and it's aimed at long-term resilience, longevity. And if you're doing the NAD drip, but your triglycerides are 220 and your cortisol is flatline, we love you, but you're playing with longevity dress up. In the next part, I'm going to talk a little bit how to spot longevity BS, even when it's wearing a white lab coat and holding a bottle of something that activates cellular destiny. Ice baths for trauma processing, collagen gummies for vascular age, $800 a month NAD drips for people still eating Doritos, irony meet biohacking. Okay, let's play a little game. This is something I had an idea here. Let's play this little game called Spot the Nonsense. So you're scrolling in phrases like revolutionary, age-reversing molecule, clinically proven, with a small asterisk, zero actual proof, as seen on Shark Tank. How about that one? Because nothing says science like a TV pitch. Sound familiar? Welcome to the red flag parade. Here's how to spot the BS. Okay. Vague promises. One, with zero measurable outcomes. If it says boosts vitality or supports healthy aging, ask how, which pathways, what's being measured. That's your right to ask those questions. Guru glow ups. If the evidence is based on one guy's abs and a YouTube channel, we have a problem, especially if he sells courses for $10 a month, promising eternal youth. But wait, there's more. Just one more thing. So overcomplication without personalization is another one. If it requires a spreadsheet, a shrine, a moon phase to activate, not a single lab test, I would skip it. There's a lot of buzzword stacking also. It's like mitochondrial, enhancing, telomere lengthening, autophagy triggering, anti-inflammatory peptide stacks. Translation, someone read a thesaurus while sipping mushroom coffee. Also, be wary of products that rely on influencer testimonials, celebrities, things like this, over clinical data. Might feature cherry-picked PubMed links that sound sciencey, but are really irrelevant. Might say pharmaceutical grade when they're just powdered hope in a capsule. Your mitochondria don't care about your aesthetic. They want oxygen, they want nutrients, and they want a break from the chaos. So here's your anti-BS checklist. Okay. Does it have a clear mechanism of action? Is there a dose response data? Can you test the outcome? Is it prescribed in the context of your actual biology? Or are you getting peptides off a generic site that just gives you carte blanche access without testing first to personalize it? You're monkeying around with your physiology in ways that might do more harm than good. We're not anti-innovation here, and we're just pro-discernment. When something works, we use it. But when the hype outweighs the evidence, or it's more brand than biology, I tend to pass on those things. So I want to walk you through the boring stuff that actually works. The protocols that don't, trend on social media, but quietly keep people alive, sharp and strong. Watch for vague promises, lack of dose response data, and guru worship. Red flag phrases like revolutionary, clinically proven, why your mitochondria aren't impressed by influencer marketing, those kinds of things. The stuff that actually keeps you alive and thriving doesn't look great on TikTok, to be honest. No one's going viral for saying, hey, go to bed on time and stabilize your blood sugar. But here's the thing, that boring stuff, it works every time. It's universal. Sleep, for example, isn't just beauty rest. It's vascular repair, hormone rebalancing, memory consolidation, and mitochondrial reset. Miss it regularly, and you're aging 20% faster, no matter how many IVs you're dripping. How about something as simple as fiber? Yeah, that's right. Grandma's psyllium husk. Soluble fiber binds to estrogens, lowers LDL, stabilizes glucose, and feeds the gut bacteria that lower inflammation. Want better gut health, hormone balance, and a slimmer waist? Fiber. It's not sexy, but it is effective. It's universal. It's a principle. How about blood sugar regulation? Is the real MVP of anti-aging? It would be blood sugar regulation. You can be taking all the rejuvenation supplements in the world, but if your blood sugar is swinging like a wrecking ball every afternoon, you're just feeding inflammation, glycation, and vascular decay. We use continuous glucose monitoring or ketone breath acetone level monitoring with our patients to spot the hidden blood sugar spikes that most people never know that they are having. So what else works? Resistance training. Muscle is the most anti-aging organ no one talks about. It improves insulin sensitivity. It supports mitochondrial function. It reduces fracture risk and boosts metabolism. And you just feel good when you do resistance training. How about this unsexy one? Daily movement, not just workouts, walking, stretching, getting blood and lymph moving. The basics aren't basic. They're foundational. They're non-optional. They're mandatory. And the real kicker, testing. You can't optimize what you don't measure. Regular testing of inflammation markers, things like CRP, homocysteine, fibrinogen, checking your hormones, testosterone, cortisol rhythms, DHEA, insulin levels, your vascular age, getting the heart rate scan, the carotid intima media test, getting a biological baseline through true age testing or other methylation panels. We retest every 3 to 6 months to measure if protocols are actually working, and then we adjust accordingly to fine tune and zigzag a little bit. But that's what it is. That's how it's personalized, is how your body is responding to a protocol that was based on blood labs or stool labs, GI map. We measure response over time. So if you want longevity that lasts, stop chasing the next shiny new thing that's constantly being thrown at us. Stop chasing novelty. Start mastering the fundamentals. It's not the glow ups that add years to your life. It's the sleep, the fiber, the glucose control, and the data-driven adjustments. I want to help you build a filter next so that you can spot gimmicks from a mile away and invest your energy where it actually counts. Sleep, fiber, blood sugar regulation, consistent testing, and targeted correction. Now, why are these basics still remain undefeated no matter how many new shiny object syndrome comes out there? Well, let's wrap this up with something that you'll use forever, a built-in BS detector. Because if you want to thrive in a modern longevity world, you need more than just a good protocol. You need a filter. Filter's up here, discernment. It's also part of your heart, discernment. It's not just for hypey products, but for headlines, influencer advice, even clinical claims. Here's how you build yours. Follow data, not dopamine. If it feels too exciting, too revolutionary or too finally the answer, just pause. The real stuff tends to feel boring, technical, and fairly consistent. Excitement is fun, but longevity is about long arcs, not dopamine hits. You should ask 3 questions before buying any product or protocol. What system does this affect? Is it your hormonal or neurological or all 3? And how will I know if it's working? Is this supported by real data, or is it just a bunch of testimonials and shiny branding and I'm joining a one-size-fits-all protocol that everybody gets on? Cross-check against your own needs. That's the next thing. What works for a 28-year-old influencer in Bali isn't the same as what's a 50-year-old executive with 2 kids and a high-stress job needs. Precision means you first, product second. Next, you need to read the fine print. If it says may support or based on emerging science, that's code for we can't really prove it works yet. That's not always bad, but it's not a green light either. Another thing you want to vet is the messenger. Are they citing actual studies? Are they meta studies, which means multiple conglomeration of studies and then paraphrasing the results? Are they licensed or educated in biology, or are they recycling wellness memes while selling affiliate codes? Here's your final pro tip. Track the outcomes. Always track outcomes, because if you're going to invest in a tool, a protocol, or a product, build a plan to track its effects. Baseline your labs, record subjective markers, your energy, your sleep, your recovery, and then retest it 8 to 12 weeks. If there's no tracking, there's not really any truth. You don't know. It's all fluff. So at Echelon, we coach every single client to become their own longevity strategist, your own guru. We teach our clients and patients how to evaluate claims without cynicism, get curious without being gullible, invest wisely, not reactively. Because in long game, the most successful patients aren't the ones who are just trying everything under the sun. They're the ones who master what works for them. In a world full of hype, noise, and wellness theater, be the one who knows how to think critically. Don't just follow. Don't just accept everything as truth. So next, we're going to dive into a system that rarely gets the spotlight, but it could be silently running the show behind the scenes. It's your detox and drainage matrix of your body. That will be the topic on our next episode. And if you're the type of person where you have difficulty eliminating waste efficiently, digestive issues, constipation, or if you're alternating between constipation and loose stools or diarrhea, there's no peptide, there's no smoothie or hormone or supplement or even a spa treatment that can save you. You've got to build your filter, follow data, not dopamine, and how to evaluate new tech or tools or trends without falling for snake oil. Play the long game, not the dopamine short-term hit. If you've been buying into buzzwords and bouncing between wellness trends, maybe it's time for something grounded. I would recommend taking our longevity quiz. It's the echelon-longevity.com/quiz. Find out which areas of your health are built on science and which may need a little upgrade. Because longevity isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things in the right order for the right reasons. So next week on Unbreakable Vitality, we dive into a system that might be the most ignored and misunderstood in all of functional health. As I mentioned before, we're going to do a deep dive on your detox and drainage matrix. It's not about juice cleanses or diarrhea or running to the bathroom or even just green powders. It's about the way your body clears waste and biotoxins, regulates inflammation, and maintains internal balance. Because if your body can't eliminate efficiently, no matter what you add, it can't truly heal. So you don't want to miss this. Next week, we explore one of the most underrated systems in the longevity conversation, your detox and drainage matrix. Because if your body can't clear the junk, no amount of superfood smoothies can save you. I'll see you there.
If you're feeling like your energy, your edge, or your clarity just isn't what it used to be, you're not alone. But you're also not stuck. Every week on Unbreakable Vitality, we explore real strategies to reverse aging, reclaim vitality, and rewrite what's possible. If today's episode gave you even one insight, pass it on. Then go take the free vascular age quiz at echelon-longevity.com/quiz to see how your body's aging. Subscribe, leave a review, and follow us because your future isn't on autopilot. You are building it and you're just getting started.